I'll tell you what I've got in the Mirror this morning. Excuse me. You will see Stan Collymore having his say on Dele Alli's career. I know, it's just so disappointing. It really is. The former Liverpool striker has said Dele needs to decide what he wants: the life of a pro or the chance to quit sport early like Ash Barty.
Stan speaks about how 4 years ago he got Dele Alli's number printed and his name printed on the back of his England shirt for the World Cup. But now he's, as he says, fallen off a cliff. So Collymore also mentioned that 3 years ago Ali started in a Champions League final and wonders if there is something deeper going on that we don't know about. He had to ask, do you want to play professional football, or are you not cut out for it? If not, don't do that thing of conning clubs into giving you a year based on reputations and drift down the ranks. So those are thoughts of Stan Collymore. With Dele Alli, Darren, it's a conversation that we've been having quite a lot over the last few seasons, really, since that form started to dip. And it was probably at the end of Poch's time at Spurs, really, wasn't it, where he started to fall out of favour. And then gradually, each manager that's come in, the main thing that they've said, or one of the main things they've said, is that they want to get the form back in Dele Alli. They've tried, they've played him, but it's not quite coming. You must have played alongside players that have that dip in form. How do you explain it?
It's just really difficult for him because, as you said there, it looks like there's something deeper going on. But when I look at his kind of situation and Marcus Rashford, you look at Marcus Rashford, you can quite clearly see that there's something not quite right, even his demeanour. But Dele Alli seems to be always smiling, he seems okay, but it's just a complete drop-off from form, and I don't think he's had not even the guidance, but he's just not been able to find himself back. Now, you go back to, obviously, the season he had, 16-17, that was when he was at his absolute best, wasn't it? It was fantastic. That's a long, long time ago. But I mean, I think he's too good of a player to retire now, unless he's completely fallen out of love with it. I think it was David Bentley. He was a little bit older, but he fell out of love with it, didn't he? And he just retired out the blue. But for Dele, I thought going to Everton, fresh surroundings, new start, would kind of kick him back into life. Bit of hunger, completely different circumstances, different manager, but it just hasn't happened. So how you get that? What might need to happen? And there's no guarantees, but. And it's a knock on his pride, but at the end of the day, he's not playing very well. Is maybe he needs to go down a division to the Championship, completely rip it up. Like if Everton was to go down, which I'm sure they hope it doesn't happen, but if they were to go down, him absolutely rip it up, because you'd expect him to be the best player in that division, get a bit of confidence, and then maybe come back up. But at the minute, he just can't seem to get himself going. He really can't. Because if they go down, what Premier League club right now would buy him?
I can't even imagine him playing in the Championship, Ali.
That's my point.
No, I know, but listen, I don't know. I don't think I'm being too dramatic by saying time's running out. You know, I really don't think I am. I think it is Benty Woods. I mean, we love him. We all love him as a player. And I keep going back to the Russian World Cup. I mean, Lingard, but arguably two of England's best players. Two of the better players in the tournament. and we've mentioned those three players. Rashford, you know, to a lesser degree, I think, but certainly Lingard and Dele Alli have just kind of disappearing without trace. And I know Jesse had a great period down in London when he went with Big Moisey, and he seemed to get his appetite back. He obviously was playing and he looked the part. But I don't know. I just see their careers, not so much Rashford, because I think he will come back. He definitely, his body language is, and as Dan says, demeanour's not good at all. He just doesn't look happy, to be honest with you. But the other two, I'm really worried about the two of them waking up one morning 4 or 5 years down the line and saying, where did my career go? You know, what happened there? You know, it's absolutely disappeared. And time's running out for the two of them.
You don't just lose that talent, do you? And I imagine there's lots of other factors that come into being able to perform at a really elite level, a top level in the Premier League. I imagine it's not just your talent, it's all about your confidence.
Hunger, drive.
Yeah, so are those all little things that you've got to get right and make sure when you're on a slope and you're slipping down, you don't keep slipping?
Absolutely. You've got to keep working hard. In some regards, you've got to work harder, because obviously if you're slipping, you said you're not in any form. First and foremost, I hope he's got people around him that's telling him, as I've said it before, a number of times, people that are around him that are telling him what he needs to hear rather than what he wants to hear. Because if he's got people around him saying, don't worry, it's not your fault, you're doing great, then there's a real problem there. Because quite clearly you could quite see something's not right at all. But if he's got people saying to him, oh, Dele, what's going on? You need to pull your finger out. Why are you not playing? Why have you gone to Everton, you're not playing? And then he's choosing not to take that advice, then that falls on him.
Is he a victim of his own early success? Because we know what can happen to young players that are lauded and so successful straight on. You know, we were building him up, bigging him up straight away for the right reasons, because he was exceptional so early on, wasn't he? But does that become almost a stick to batten with even harder, because we're just harking back to what he was like?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that, and I'll tell you why. Because we can all understand and appreciate there'll be drops in form, you know, and it'll go up and down a little bit like a roller coaster. However, you know, to use that phrase that has been used this morning, he's just about the end of that cliff. He really is. I mean, there hasn't been anything in the last, you tell me if I'm wrong, I can't remember anything in the last 18 months that we've said, wow, that was great, that was something like the World Cup form of 2018. There's been nothing, absolutely nothing. So in that respect, we're not holding him to these standards and saying, yeah, he's dropped a little bit, he's not the same player he was. He's completely and utterly not the same player he was. So we've got nothing to gauge him on.
Yeah,
so
he's 100% right.
He's got to get himself out. He's the only one that can get himself out of it, would he?
What about the mental side of this? Because we hear about players going to psychologists all the time, don't we? And actually working with people to try and unlock what happens. Did you ever do that, Darren?
Yeah, towards the end. And I think it was Steve McLaren that brought him in, to be fair. And it was really good at first. You go in there, as you do with anything that's new, a little bit sceptical. You go, is this really for me? Is it going to work? And towards the end, we become really good friends. I spoke to him about everything on and off the pitch, and it really made a big difference. Whether he's doing that, you just don't know. You don't quite know what's going on inside someone's head. But as Ali said there, when you try and measure him against him at his absolute best, which was, as I said, 16, 17, he's been nowhere near that for some time. I mean, he's got one Premier League goal this season, and for someone who's got that much ability, he is so much better than that. But we can't keep sitting here saying, there's a player in there. At some stage, people will give up on him. And that's what he needs to be careful of, is that you keep getting these opportunities. If you don't keep delivering, people will give up on you.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.